Here's the best way to interview your new candidates that you get. Perhaps you're having trouble when you finally, it takes you forever to find employees, and when you finally do, you schedule an interview with them, they don't show up to the appointment. I'll give you a couple of tips and tricks on how to interview them and make sure that they show up to the appointment, and also cut the time in half between finding them and actually hiring them. I will tell you, that's how we find at Wings Mobile Detailing 10 employees in a matter of 1 week. So you can apply the same thing and it's going to work with you as well. Of course, in this video, I'll show you the exact questions to ask in the first interview, when you're first interviewing them, and then from there, on the training day, the first day of training as well. If you haven't gotten to the video on how to find these people, how to find 10 employees, then you should be watching a different video before this one, and make sure to click here so that you can, on the tab above, so that you can make sure to watch and know how to find these people. Very simple. Okay, now, it's your first time, you got all those candidates by watching that video, you got all the candidates here, and now you need to know how to interview them to make sure that you're not wasting time on going on the meeting day, the first in-person interview, and they don't show up. So first, you want to do it over the phone interview. Give them a call. Go from the list of candidates that you have, see which ones are the best. You're gonna filter them out to see their resume, and then when you start calling them, the call needs to be short.
Desculpa. Continua. And when? Start calling them?
The call needs to be short and simple. Here are the questions you want to ask. So first, the first phone call, you're going to introduce about the company, Goodness. You're going to introduce about the company, the requirements that you have for them to work for you, and the hours as well, the pay rate. You're going to go with them through all of that. In between what you're sharing with them about the company, the hours that you're going to be working, what you require of them, you're also going to ask them questions. That's the point of the call. Now here's some of the questions you're going to ask. Make sure to take a note of this. But first is what was their previous job, where they were working previously. That will lead to the second most important question, which is the reason they are leaving that job, or if they're currently at that job, why they want to leave that job. With that, you're gonna get answers all over the place, either because they had problems with the team or the management, or they weren't happy with the pay rate or the type of job. So it's a great way for you to understand where they are at and how they are working with team members as well. Second question is if they already have experience in detailing. So of course that's important. Even if you're training them and we're gonna offer training for detailing, it's important for you to know if they have the experience. I recommend at Wings Mobile Detailing hiring people. We only hire people with experience already, at least 1 year of experience. A lot of times they may have answered the question on Indeed, and they put that they have 1 year of experience, but you still want to ask those questions to make sure. And if they say yes, ask them what type of experience they have. That's only for the technical part, to make sure they really know how to detail cars. And now we have a magical question that we like to ask indirectly, but this question you're gonna get an answer on how they are as a person, if you're the type of excuse maker. It's a very important question. This important question that we like to ask, and the reason we're asking this question is because, at least here at Wings Mobile Detailing, the worst thing that we can have in our company is excuse maker. That will lead no call, no shows, because they never take accountability, and people who does not take accountability is a liability. So how do we find out whether they're an excuse maker or not? By going through this certain question. The question that we ask is, we tell the candidate, hey, tell me of a time that you were late to something, not from the previous job or from an appointment that you have scheduled for. Just tell me the time that you were late, how far ago that happened. And you want to get their answer for that. They might say, well, the previous week I was late when I was going somewhere, but it was a lot of traffic and I couldn't arrive there on time. Or I was scheduled for something and it started to rain, or I lost my car keys and I couldn't get there. So you're not gonna care about their answer specifically to this question. You want to actually see if they're an excuse maker or not. If they blame external factors, it means that they have the tendency to be one. The perfect answer that you're looking for such question is if they say, well, I was just late. It was my fault. I didn't wake up when the alarm went off. Really taking accountability. So that is actually a great answer. Hopefully they answered that to you. So that was a magical question. Now let's go to the next one. Is because we're out there working as mobile detailing, it's a fun job, it's enjoyable, it's nice to see before and after. But there's one negative about this for some people, which is working outdoors. As a mobile detailer, we're working outdoors in the sun, sometimes 100 degrees outside, and it's steaming hot. So question we like to ask is if they have ever had the experience in working outdoors or just working indoors. We had problems with this before, so that's why it's an important question. Another one that you can ask to see if they are going to relate to the job is what they expect the job to be. You can really ask straight on, hey, what do you expect this job to be? And based on this interview, is this something that you were actually looking for? So you can ask those questions to see if that's something that they actually wanted to do. Now, when the interview was almost over, you ask all the questions and perhaps you like the answer. Now it's time to schedule the second stage of the interview. And on the second stage, it's gonna solve the problem of you scheduling an in-person interview, going somewhere, and then, people don't show up. So that can happen. So this is how we solve this issue, is by not doing an in-person interview. And this next stage is an actual work along. Instead of doing an in-person interview, because you're already done it on the phone, is really for you to schedule a day for them to come work for you. So let's say you like, how they performed on the job, on the phone interview, and you schedule the work along for the next day, for 2 days from now, and you can really tell them. And that way, in this work along, it is a second stage, but it's the best way for you to feel, because they're gonna be working with you for a day, and you're gonna pay them as well for this day. And you're gonna get to know them really well in person, know if they're actually great already in detailing. That's how you're really gonna learn about them and know if they're great or if they're not great. The reason the work along works great as opposed to an in-person interview is because it happened in the past with me so many times where I thought a candidate was great. I schedule the interview, in-person interview, and I would take my time to go somewhere and meet them at the office, and they would not show up. So you'd rather want to be at the job already or have your trainer at the job. They're going to be there anyways. If they don't show up, at least they didn't waste the time. You're already there at the job. They can still not show up though for the job. And there's a little trick that we do here so that we'll make sure that they're gonna show up and we're not with that anxiety. Are they showing up tomorrow or Thursday, or they are not showing up? Is after the interview is over, you hang up the phone, you ask them to provide you with their ID, driver's license, text you with their driver's license to confirm that they're gonna show up. Regardless, you're gonna ask for their driver's license anyways, and you need that actually. So you might as well ask now. If they send it to you, it means they are more firm and set on stone that they're going to show up. They're more committed to it. So it's a small tip, but it works amazing. Chances are, if they didn't send it to you after the phone call, if they don't send it to you at all, even if you text them asking for it and they don't send it to you, chances are, they're not going to show up. So you already know off the get-go. Now, another tip before you finalize the interview, and to know if that's something they actually want, if they want to, go after the job, because you're the one who called them. Now you want to make sure that they are committed to want this job. Is straight from this book, Hiring and Firing. It's an important book to read, not only when you're hiring, but also before you fire people in the future. There are right and wrong ways to do it, legally as well. And on this book by Tracy, he goes over on saying the last interview statement that you can make, which is you can tell your candidates saying, hey, you seem like a good person. I like this interview, the way it went, but hey, you seem like a good person. The interview went smoothly, so we're excited to work with you. But first, take your time. Let us know what you think of this opportunity first, and I'll contact you in a few days. Or it doesn't have to be in a few days, tomorrow or something. That way, it's gonna give them time to think over the opportunity and to know how much you value their commitment towards wanting this job as well. Guys, that was it. This was a great interview. Now, guys, this is it. As far as the first stage of the interview, very smooth. You got to know them. And a lot of times you are not gonna go halfway of the interview. If you're separated candidates on Indeed, all those candidates that you got, the phone call sometimes may last even 30 seconds. We've called candidates before. Sometimes the interview may not even last the first 30 questions. Before, we called candidates before where they start answering the phone with slangs. and we know that they were not going to be great customer service oriented people. So a lot of times the interview is not going to go this far. But once you got everything completed, the first interview, the second stage here is that first ride-along, work-along day. You're gonna schedule this first ride-along day wherever you like. I would not recommend you actually going to the candidate's home to pick them up. So I would schedule somewhere, a parking lot, if you don't already have an office. In this first ride-along day, like I said, you're gonna really get to know the person, and also you're gonna tell them about the requirements, the rules, such as the no call, no show. You know, for Wings Mobile Detailing, we have zero tolerance for no call, no shows. And you can tell them that you're going to provide them with the employment guidelines, which will go over and how to create employee guidelines and prepare everything on this video right here. So make sure to watch that as well. And specify some other requirements, such as doctor's note if they need to take a day off, and how many days off of the year they will have. So those are the things you're going to cover during this ride along, but most importantly is you're going to know them and see if they are going to be great to represent your brand. Now that you find the perfect candidate, you hire them, you provide them with the guidelines through the video, it's time to grow your business. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, because on this channel, you're gonna have more tips and tricks on how to acquire clients, grow the business, have multiple events, and even a franchise opportunity where you don't have to worry about any of that or the intricacies of growing the detailing business. We can leverage from existing brand, the Wings Mobile Detailing franchise. Click on the link of the description if you're interested about learning more and really expanding to a big business. Thank you very much.